Welcome to the Kentucky Alternate Assessment Employability Skills Attainment Record Administration Guide training for school year 2023-24. This module will walk you through the Employability Skills Attainment Record Administration Guide. Most slides will reference specific pages. Please print a hard copy or access the electronic version from the Kentucky Department of Education webpage before continuing this training. The Employability Skills Attainment Record, referred to as the ESAR, ESAR, is one of four components of the Kentucky Alternate Assessment. The ESAR was developed for students with significant cognitive disabilities in an alternative high school diploma course of study and working towards career readiness. The ESAR is designed to provide a career readiness measure within the post-secondary readiness indicator of Kentucky's accountability system. There are two ways for students to demonstrate post-secondary readiness within Kentucky's accountability system. Students must earn a high school diploma or be classified as a grade 12 non-graduate and meet the requirements of one type of readiness, academic readiness or career readiness. In alignment with the regular assessment, the achievement of the career readiness is not mandatory. The accountability system allows for meeting the requirements of academic readiness or career readiness. However, school districts must provide students opportunity and access to work towards career readiness. This includes students participating in the alternate assessment. The ESAR is a rating scale that assesses student demonstration of skills linked to the employability and foundational academic standards for alternate assessment, typically referred to as the EFAS-AA. EFAS-AA. The standards within the EFAS-AA align with a subset of standards assessed by the Career and Technical Education CTE End of Program EOP assessment for articulated credit and the CTE Pathway Standards documents. The EFAS-AA standards are included in Appendix A of the Administration Guide. The ESAR includes 30 items. The ESAR is administered to all grade 12 students working towards achievement of career readiness status within the post-secondary readiness component of Kentucky's accountability system. Working towards means the student has completed the coursework leading to the CWC, the Career Work Experience Certification, CWC, or is in the process of completing the courses. The courses are documented on the student's multi-year course of study and transcript. A student in grade 11 may be assessed early if the student has completed the first two courses leading to the CWC and is scheduled to complete the remaining two courses before graduation. This slide shows the coursework leading to the CWC and the conditions for early ESAR assessment of the student in grade 11. The requirement means the student has already taken developing career options and developing leadership skills as indicated on the student high school transcript, and before graduation will complete experience in workplace principles and individualized career work experience. A grade 14 student has continued opportunity for assessment on the ESAR if the benchmark has not been met previously at grades 11 or 12. Note, the ESAR is not administered to students with a graduation code. A student will be included in accountability reporting at grade 12. If the student returns at grade 14 and continues to pursue post-secondary readiness, the student will be included in accountability the year of the high school exit with a graduation code. If a student is assessed at multiple grades, the scores are stored by the Kentucky Office of Career and Technical Education, OCTE, until the student exits with a graduation code. The highest score will be selected for accountability. The ESAR benchmark. The highest possible rating on the ESAR is 60. The benchmark is 37. The QEA and Student Instructional Team, page 5. The ESAR is completed by the qualified ESAR administrator or QEA in collaboration with other members of the student's instructional team. The QEA must be a certified staff member. The QA may be the teacher of record or another certified district representative. The teacher of record is typically the primary special education teacher of the student who is most familiar with the student's performance across multiple settings. Team members include special education teachers other than the QEA if the student has more than one special education teacher. General education teachers, depending on the extent a student participates in the general education program. Other certified staff members who have knowledge of the student's current performance levels in the areas assessed by the ESAR. Others such as the student's speech language pathologist, occupational therapist, career technical education teacher, guidance counselor, or psychologists often have valuable information about the student's performance in different settings. Classified staff such as employment specialists and paraprofessionals can assist in providing information about the student's current performance levels in the skills assessed by the ESAR, but the responsibility of providing the primary information is that of a certified staff member. For ESAR administration, pages 5 and 6. The QEA must pass the qualification quiz before ESAR administration begins. Upon successful completion of the quiz, the QA will be prompted to download the ESAR. Only a QA will be able to access the ESAR from the KEP system. The QEA will print the ESAR and copy for each student eligible for assessment in the current school year. Just as the QEA may begin assessing students upon completion of the qualifying ESAR quiz, consultation with other team members may also begin at this time. To arrive at the final stages, the full instructional team must meet at least once during the school year. Experience in the field indicates the best time to complete the ESAR is prior to the transition meeting or the annual Admissions and Release Committee, ARC, meeting. The administration of the ESAR must be completed by May 24, 2024. Rating student performance, page 6. Every ESAR item must be rated on a 3-point scale. There must be a response for every item. When rating an item, any mode of communication or responding that is typically utilized by the student is acceptable. The item rating scale, pages 6 through 7. The rating descriptions are on page 6 and 7 Administration Guide. 0 is the response for skills and concepts the student does not demonstrate in any setting. 1 is the response for skills the student displays only when some level of prompt, such as a verbal cue, partial physical guidance, or modeling. A rating of 1 is also used for skills that are displayed inconsistently. If a student can demonstrate a skill occasionally but not consistently, then the skill should be rated 1, developing or supported. 2 is the response for skills that the student clearly has mastered and performs independently. To be rated as 2, independent or mastered, the student must demonstrate the skill consistently over time. The student does not have to demonstrate the skill every time, but the course of instruction, the student has shown that he or she has mastered the skill without being prompted. Note that the student may use some type of support. A student who independently asks for support and/or uses a support independently while demonstrating a skill can be rated as a 2. For example, a student uses a visual calendar as support. If the student asks for the visual calendar and/or independently uses it to complete a task, the student can be rated as a 2. If the student is prompted to use the visual calendar, the student would be rated as a 1. Some ESAR items are scored based on performance at a worksite. A worksite is defined as a non-school integrated competitive environment where the students engage in work-based learning options customized and aligned to their post-secondary goals, including entrepreneurship, mentoring, shadowing, internship, or cooperative education. For careers found only in educational settings, the placement should be outside the student's school of attendance. The rationale supporting the worksite definition is provided in Appendix B. General instructional cycle, page 8. The general instructional cycle, followed by the teachers and related service personnel, typically includes steps outlined on page 8 of the Administration Guide. Embed the standards within the EFAS into the instruction, curriculum, and IEPs as appropriate. Assessing for maintenance skills previously mastered aligns with good instructional practices. Assessing for maintenance at the beginning of the year is recommended, as well as maintenance checks throughout the year. Skills not maintained should be integrated in the current year's instruction. Supporting evidence, page 9. The rating of each ESAR item must be based on direct observation of demonstrated student performance and must be documented. The instructional team does not rate ESAR items based on what you think the student may or may not be able to do. Demonstration must verify the rating. This documentation is called supporting evidence. In most cases, supporting evidence for the ESAR is derived from existing progress data collected through the instructional process. Teachers and related service personnel typically keep progress data in the student working folders. Supporting evidence, continued, page 9. During the administration of the ESAR, the student instructional team will select existing progress data from the student's working folder to support the 0, 1, or 2 ratings. Documentation is then stored as supporting evidence in the Career Rating Alternate Assessment folder, the CRAF. CRAAF. Supporting evidence, continued, page 9. Supporting evidence may take various forms, including but not limited to the staff journals with results of informal or formal observation, workplace performance evaluations, behavioral checklists, videos of student demonstration of performance, and employment specialists' monthly reports, specifically monthly reports for job development, job coaching. Supporting evidence, continued, page 9. Existing documentation for a skill assessed by the ESAR item may be dated within the last 4 years. However, when a student masters and performs a skill independently in a previous year, an activity or observation to check the maintenance for the skill must be performed during the school year for the ESAR administration. To retain a previous status that a student has mastered or performs independently, the current year performance check must indicate the student continues to demonstrate the skill consistently over time. Supporting evidence, additional documentation, page 9. As needed, team members should supplement supporting evidence with additional assessment activities. For skills not yet observed and documented, team members should create opportunities for observation and assessment. As a reminder, anyone that provides accommodations during state testing must also have inclusion of special populations in state-required assessment and accountability programs 703 KR 5:070 training. Existing documentation example. This slide depicts an example of when progress data indicates a student mastered a skill in a year prior to the administration of the ESAR. In grade 10, the student independently used charts, guides, and written instructions to complete tasks and work assignments. The teacher conducted a check for maintenance of the skill in grade 11. If the student hadn't maintained the skill, instruction would be provided. The same process would occur in grade 12. During the administration of the ESAR, in grade 12, the most current maintenance check supporting evidence would determine the final rating of the ESAR item. Additional documentation example. In this example, the student is able to independently use graph or charts and guides, but hasn't mastered written directions to complete the task or work assignments. The members of the student instructional team may determine assessment activities are needed to supplement the existing supporting evidence. Instructional team consensus, page 10. Consensus must be achieved when the student's instructional team meets this and to determine the final rating on the ESAR items. For many items, the supporting evidence will lead to the immediate consensus. For this reason, the team members may wish to focus on discussing and resolving any differences for items about which there is no general agreement. In case of non-agreement, the team members should examine the supporting evidence for the basis of different ratings. If team members cannot reach agreement, or if they determine the student demonstrates different performance levels at different times or under different conditions, the lowest of the ratings being considered must be assigned to the item. Test security, pages 10 through 11. The ESAR is considered secure test materials and must follow the administration code and regulations established for all state required assessments and optional tests administered by school personnel that are reported in Kentucky's accountability system. 703 KR 5:080 Administration Code for Kentucky's Educational Assessment Program can be reviewed in its entirety on the KDE website. The link to the regulation is provided on page 10. Page 10 of the administration guide also contains concepts selected from the regulation test security section that more closely address a rating scale assessment like the ESAR. Be sure to review and follow all test security requirements. The CRAFT stores the documentation for the ESAR and the Career Work Experience certification, pages 11 through 12. The QEA is responsible for maintaining the CRAFT, the Qualified ESAR Administrator, QEA. After completing the ESAR training and qualification quiz, the QEA will print the ESAR certificate and file in the CRAFT, provide a copy to the BAC or DAC. File the student information page in the CRAFT, file administrator trainings and documentation, including of the administration code for Kentucky's Educational Assessment Program, and a signed KDE non-disclosure form in the CRAFT. Download the ESAR and a copy for each student eligible for ESAR administration. Maintain the ESAR in the CRAFT when not in use, and file the completed ESAR and documentation in the CRAFT at the end of the school year. CRAFT components, page 12. CRAFT components include the following in order: student information, administrator trainings and documentation, qualification quiz, certifications, employability skills attainment record, and the Career Work Experience certification. The Career Work Experience certification administration guide for school year 2023-24, linked in the manual, provides information about the Career Work Experience Certification CWC section. CRAFT, section 1, student information page 12. The student information page form is stored in the student information section. Form components include student name, school, district, grade, state student identification number, SSID, district enrollment date if the student is new to the district, date participation in the alternate assessment was determined if placement occurred during the current school year, accommodations listed in the current IEP for the student, and the name of and signature of the supervising teacher. A link to the KDE alternate assessment and accountability folder webpage, where the student information page can be found, is provided on page 12 of the administration guide. There are two versions, one electronic version and the other is a form that is downloadable to save. CRAFT, section 2, administrative trainings and documentation, page 13. School personnel assisting with the administration of the ESAR must complete the 703 KR 5:080 administration code for Kentucky's educational assessment program training and sign the non-disclosure form for state assessments form. If a QE has multiple craft folders, the signed administrative training and documentation may be duplicated for placement in each. Any non-school personnel who assists with the ESAR administration must sign a non-disclosure form, which is also filed in the craft. A link to the forms are provided on pages 12 through 13 of the administration guide. Craft Section 3, Qualifying Quiz Certification, page 13. The Qualifying Quiz Certifications component of the craft houses the ESAR certificate documenting the QA successfully completed the qualification quiz. The ESAR certificate is printed from the online training system OTS housed on the Kentucky Alternate Assessment Program KEP website. A copy is placed in the craft and one copy is provided for the back or DAC. Craft Section 4, Employability Skill Attainment Record Components, page 13. The ESAR component of the craft can include up to 5 years. The number is dependent upon when and how many times the ESAR is completed for a student. If the ESAR is completed early at grade 11, the folder section begins that year. If not, the ESAR documentation begins at grade 12. Reminder, the ESAR is required for all students at grade 12 working towards career readiness designation within the accountability system. If the student exits with a graduation code at the completion of grade 12, the ESAR documentation ends at that grade level. If the student does not meet benchmarks in grade 11, if eligible for early administration, or grade 12 and continues to receive services as grade 14 student, they may continue to be assessed on the ESAR. A section is added for each grade 14 year until the student either meets benchmarks or exits with the graduation code. Craft Section 4, Employability Skills Attainment Record, page 14. The ESAR documentation is kept each year and includes the completed ESAR and supporting evidence, anecdotal notes regarding specific student information on the ESAR, and documentation concerning the meeting to complete the record, who, where, and when. Folder audit, page 14. Career readiness will be reported by KDE's Office of Career and Technical Education. Therefore, personnel from the Office of Career and Technical Education, OCTE, will audit crafts during monitoring or review visits from career and technical education programs. At the time of the folder audit, the reviewers will confirm that the supporting evidence substantiates the ratings of the ESAR items. At the local level, DACs may choose to monitor the craft to review programming and assessment compliance. This is a district level decision. Reporting ESAR ratings, page 14. QEA reports the ratings of a student's ESAR performance levels to the Kentucky Department of Education. The QEA transfers the ratings for the 30 ESAR items to the Career Ready Database, CRD. The CRD is housed on the KEP website. May 31st, 2024 is the last day to enter scores in the CRD. Grade 12 and grade 14 students identified to be working towards career readiness in the alternative high school course of study or alternate assessment with completion of at least 2 CWEC courses are entered in the CRD by KAEP personnel. A grade 11 student will not appear in the CRD, but may be manually entered for reporting purposes during the current school year if the student is working towards career readiness and has completed at least 2 CWC courses. The process for registering a grade 11 student or an eligible student that was not previously automatically loaded in the CRD. The DAC, DOS, or district level administrator registers the student in the database, then contacts Sherry Craig in the Office of Career and Technical Education or Daryl Mattingly with the University of Kentucky to request the student record be opened. Once the student record is open, scores may be entered into the CRD. Refer to the CRD student roster, pages 14 through 15. Pages 15 through 16 summarize the steps for completion of the ESAR. The QEA facilitates the process, but student instructional team members also have responsibilities. When school starts, the QEA and the instructional team members begin instruction of the EFAS AA standards, document student progress, and maintain progress data in the student working folder. The QEA must complete the ESAR training and qualification quiz in the OTS, the online training system, by December 22nd, 2023. The ESAR quiz will close on December 22nd, 2023. The QEA prints and files the ESAR certificate in the craft, provides a copy to the BAC or DAC. During the school year, the QEA and instructional team members continue instruction of the EFAS AA document student progress and maintain progress data in the student working folder. The QEA rates ESAR items based on supporting evidence. Throughout the year, QEA consults with other team members who may provide supporting evidence. The QEA keeps the ESAR and supporting evidence in the craft within a secure location when not in use. The ESAR completion instructional team meeting, pages 16 through 17. During the instructional team meeting or other meetings if needed, the QEA reviews the ESAR directions with instructional team members. Together, the team reviews all standards and test items for common understanding. Then instructional team members discuss each test item and supporting evidence. They jointly decide how the student's performance on each item should be scored, either as a 0, 1, or 2. The QEA documents the ratings and gathers the supporting evidence for each test item. ESAR completion after the assessment, page 17. After the assessment, the QEA receives the completed ESAR to ensure that all items have been marked. The QEA then stores the finalized ESAR and supporting evidence in the craft within a secure location. May 31st, 2024. The QEA must transfer the ratings of the student performance to the CRD housed on the KEP website. The ESAR qualification quiz. This concludes the ESAR training module. You may complete the ESAR qualification quiz on the KEP website. Review the ESAR administration guide if needed before assessing the quiz. You have 3 opportunities to pass the quiz. Upon the 3rd unsuccessful attempt, you will be locked out of the CRD system and must notify your DAC, DOS, or district level administrator. The ESAR qualification quiz closes December 22nd, 2023. Upon successful completion of the quiz, you will be granted access to the ESAR. Best wishes on the quiz and for the 2023 school year.